got a special guest, Clay Walker. Governor, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, and I'm anxious to hear what Clay has to say. Welcome, Clay.
Well, we're proud to have what I consider to be one of the great talents in country music on the other end of this line, and that's his new song that's just out. Hope everyone has the opportunity to go buy it, to go listen to it, and support a great Texan, great American. And you know, I met Clay Walker, I think in 1999. He played the inaugural for George W. Bush when he was coming in for his start of his second term, and I was the lieutenant governor. And anyway, he struck me as one of the most humble, gracious, just kind of guy you go up and talk to, and we have become incredibly good friends. I consider Clay to be one of my Christian brothers, a guy that if I was down to one phone call that I had to make somewhere and didn't need a good lawyer like you, Tony, I would. I'd
You've
call
hurt my
Clay.
feelings twice now, Governor.
So, but anyway,
Governor, you only need a lawyer if you're going to hell.
But Clay. Well, I've been on that route before,
I know you have.
and you know, thank goodness I got saved. So, and Tony helped me out of that one. So, but anyway, Clay, I wanted, one of the things that I wanted to share with the audience today was you have the most fabulous story about a physical recovery that you made. I had no idea when I met you in 1999 that you had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the late 90s, and the prognosis wasn't really good, as I recall. But if just come on and kind of share that story about your life and how you managed to conquer multiple sclerosis, in my opinion.
Well, Governor, first, let me say, I really, with you and Tony, I don't think I need a publicity agent.
Hey, man, we're friends for life, my friend.
I want to thank you guys so much, and hello, Frank.
Hey, how are you, Clay?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to share some of my story today. Take up some of your precious minutes here on the air. And Rick, that was a beautiful way of telling how we met, and you know, and I could say the same thing about you. And what endeared me to Rick is the first time I ever was at a public engagement with him. We were both going to take a ride back to the hotel, and the Suburban was going to be full. And Rick was then the governor, and he had actually crawled into the back seat, the very back seat in the Suburban. And I thought to myself, I have never seen a politician or anybody of his stature do that kind of thing. And I instantly felt like we were going to be brothers. And so I count him as one of the most special people I've ever met, and even more so for what's been occurring in my life lately. And as he mentioned, I was diagnosed with MS in 1996 over at St. Luke's Hospital. I had been up in Canada, and it was April Fool's Day, 1996. I still remember the date like it was yesterday. And the prognosis was really bad. I had a lot of lesions on my brain stem, spinal cord, and brain. And I was told by the doctor then that I was most likely going to be in a wheelchair in a couple of years and dead shortly after. And, you know, my career was just starting to really blossom. And so I was devastated, you know, at that kind of news. And, you know, I prayed to God, and Rick and I both know our Christian walk in life is very deep. And you know, my mom always taught me to pray and not to submit, you know, to anything like that. And, you know, I just felt the presence of the Lord on me, and I said, I'll go where you lead me. And I'd gotten on a medication, and that in itself was a miracle that the medication had helped arrest the disease for several years. But there was a deficit left there, you know, a debility, and a pretty big one. And I've worked, you know, almost every day since 1996, you know, to keep that deficit from showing. And there have been plenty of nights, you know, plenty of days where it raised its head pretty ugly. And on one particular occasion, I was elk hunting in Colorado with a good friend of Rick's and mine, Dr. Jim Leininger, and he'd asked me. He said, "Clay, I've known you a few years." He said, "and I really want to talk to you about something." And he says that I think would help you. He says, "I've been walking these mountains with you, and I see, how hard it is." And he goes, I think there's something that'll help you." He said, "There's this thing called mesenchymal stem cells by a company it's done down in Houston named Celtex." And I want to just tell you, Tony and Frank, I have heard every snake oil story about the cure for MS that you can imagine.
I'm sure.
Because of the amount of people I get to meet in a year's time.
Sure.
And while I was able to keep the disease at bay, scientifically, there's not anything known or proven that can heal the damage that's been done, for MS. The debilitation is just there, and you hope to just maintain status quo or, maintain that plateau and not drop too far. And so I'd been dropping off steadily, and then I asked Jim, who had known that had done it. He said, "Well, it cured my stenosis and helped me grow cartilage in my knees." He said, "Clay, and I've seen people that it has helped with MS." He mentioned a guy named Rick Hardcastle. And so he said, "Rick Perry knows him. You ought to give Rick a call." So I called Rick, and he told me the story about Rick Hardcastle, and I couldn't believe it. Here's a guy that fit my description. He had MS. He was debilitated in his legs, and he was worse off than I was. He couldn't even crawl into a boat, and this had gone on for years. And Rick shared a story with me that I actually did not believe, so much so that I got in my truck and I drove to Austin, Texas, and I wanted to see firsthand. I wanted to actually see the guy walk. And walked in, and his secretary was there. And I kind of talked to her before Rick got to the office. He was late, as usual. And I said, can you tell me a little bit about your buddy there? She was a big fan of mine, so I was able to probe a little bit more information out of her than probably most people. And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "A couple of years ago," she said, "he'd be come walking down this hall, and you would swear he was drunk. He couldn't walk up the steps of the Capitol. He couldn't do anything. He'd have to lean up against that wall and walk down it." And I said, "How is he now?" And she goes, "You'd never know it." She goes, "Here he comes right there." And so he come walking in, and we talked a bit about it. I was so impressed. This guy could jump up and down, do jumping jacks, stand on one leg. It almost looked like a circus act. So I went down and had it done. And I came by. I paid my money to have it done, just like everybody else does. Went down to had dinner. You had to go down to Mexico to grow the stem
because it was illegal or something, right?
Yeah, get an Uber. So I went down, and I hate to take such a long time telling this story.
No, go ahead.
But here's the payoff. My wife, Jess, and I have been together 15 years, and I was telling her I was going to go down and do this. She had told me, she goes, "Please don't get your hopes up. I don't want you to." She goes, "I know you're going to try this, and I hope it works, and I'm praying with you, but don't get your hopes up too much." So I went down there, did it, came back, and a couple of weeks went by, and I didn't notice anything. And I want to back up and just tell you that I was debilitated to the point where I could not walk downstairs holding one of my children, and I certainly couldn't go at any fast pace and not hold on to the rail.
So how'd you put your underwear on?
And, this is funny. I would have to, put them on the floor and, pick my leg up and put it in the hole where it goes and then kind of pull them up.
Yeah.
I couldn't do what you would call a knee high. Just take your knee, lift it off the ground, and hold it waist high. I couldn't do that. And so I'd had an exam every year. My doctor is Dr. Jerry Walensky and now Dr. John Lincoln at UT Memorial. And they're the best doctors in the world, on the planet. And I would go in for every year, do an MRI, and do this test, this physical test, where you got to, they test all your extremities, your balance, everything. And I had a slow decline, but about 6 weeks after going down and doing the stem cells, I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and one of the common things that you see with people with MS is called foot drop, or your toe drops.
Yeah.
And I always liked wearing cowboy boots anyway, but it particularly helped me when I was walking because a cowboy boot will scoot along the floor, but I could not wear tennis shoes, or my toe would dig into the floor and nearly caused me to fall every time.
Yeah.
And it happened a lot. It was just constant. I was sitting there on the couch, and my right toe popped up. And I looked over at my wife, and I said, "Hey, watch this." I lifted my foot, and she looked at me and she goes, can you do it farther than that? I said, yeah. And all of a sudden I bent my foot back, and I hadn't done that in 20 years.
Jeez,
24 years, 23 years. And my foot came all the way back, and I stood up, and I started walking. And I walked down the stairs. I came back up. The next morning, I went for a run down our driveway, and I haven't done that since being diagnosed with MS in 1996. I ran down to the gate. I ran out of the gate. I ran about a mile and a half, and I ran back. I was completely out of shape. But I couldn't believe that I now had, I can run up and downstairs. I can lift both knees sky high. And I went in for my checkup, and it blew my doctor's mind. He said, he says, I'm not a believer. I'm not a real religious man. He said, but I guess I'd call that a miracle. Wow. I've never seen that.
And one of the interesting things, know, that the company that Clay's talking about is Celtex, and they're here. They've been in Houston. They basically, it's a lipo suction type approach to take your adipose tissue from around your tummy, and then they process it right here in their lab in Houston. The previous administration, the Obama administration, pushed all of these adult stem cell companies offshore, basically said that they were creating a drug, therefore the FDA had to give the approval, and pushed all of these companies offshore. And Celtex went down into, I think, Cancun, to a private hospital down there, and been very successful in keeping their business going, and I think they're up to close to 2,000 different clients now that they've had, some 9,000 different treatments, not one negative response in this, and just some great stories. If you went online and looked at their website, you would hear some really interesting stories about people who have had juvenile arthritis, who just literally didn't have a life at all, that have had miraculous recoveries. And but Clay's story about MS, and I mean, I saw this firsthand. This guy drug a leg on stage. I could tell when I'd watch him. He'd play in some of these golf tournaments, and I could tell, when he'd get tired and he'd drag that leg, and now it's just, I mean.
So what is the legal status now of stem cell?
Well, interestingly, the FDA with COVID-19, and we're going to talk about that in the next section of the program, but COVID-19 has liberalized, if you will, the FDA. I'm not a big fan of the FDA. I think that they put a lot of
roadblocks.
Well, yeah, that's a nice way to say it. I just think there are a lot of people's lives who are negatively impacted because you got a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C., and I'm not talking about the current FDA. I'm talking about historically, it's just been easier to say no. I think Big Pharma has a huge influence on it. They don't want to see these types of approaches where that something like your own stem cells processed, put back into your body.
I mean, this is not like from placenta. This is not from. This is for your own stem
This is your adipose tissue from around your tummy that is taken. It's processed and then expanded into literally millions of mesenchymal stem cells, and then reintroduced in your body intravenously. And what did it take you, Clay? 45 minutes to sit there and have your cells brought in.
It took 15 minutes.
Wow.
And and it was virtually painless. I went in, numbed up my side.
We're gonna come back, Clay. I want to hear everything you have to say. Our bumper music here is what was one of my favorite songs of yours, "Long Live the Cowboy," but I may have a new favorite with your new song out. We're gonna come back 281-558-5738. We're gonna come back with another section with Clay Walker. We're happy to have him, and of course our former governor. We'll be back.
Busting his ass in the boots and the buckle in the hat. Come on, make some noise for the one and only real McCoys. Long live the cowboy.
I would never make it as a singer.
I was gonna say stick to politics.
I would never make it as a singer.
How was our hey Facebook Live? Let me tell you something. I know you're signing on to Dump Frank. I hear you. I'm going to push back a little bit. He's okay.
No, you started the
He's okay. I started the movement. My brother from Australia actually started the movement.
I want to talk to that guy.
Yeah, well, he'll call. He'll call Frank.
He hasn't
You're
called
gonna have
in. I
let me
want
tell
to
you
talk
something.
to him.
My brother's the kind of guy that'll take his shirt off and fight you like within 2
I
seconds.
don't give a damn what he does.
He'll fight you
I
in
got
2
the
seconds.
Lord on my side on
Oh
this.
well, he's got bulk and girth
I
on
don't
his
care
side.
about that.
Is he younger or older?
He's a little bit older than me, 10 years younger.
Is he the baby?
Yeah, he's a baby. Let's explore a little bit more with Clay because we've had the opportunity to talk to Clay, and the story that he tells is nothing short of a miracle. But let's take it a little bit further. I'm curious because obviously I've heard this story before and I know a little bit about it because Clay's a friend and you're a friend. But what are the various applications for this kind of and now that it's quote unquote you have the ability now to get it in Houston and to get it in Texas. Tell me what's this?
Yeah, with the COVID, I think there's emergency designation now the FDA has given to a company like Celtex where that they can reintroduce your mesenchymal stem cells back into your body here in the U.S. So I know Houston, San Antonio, there's a doctor that you're going to hear from here at the top of the hour, Dr. Derek Guillory, and he's going to talk a little bit about what's going on. FDA has a number of trials. You're going to hear about a phase 2 trial on COVID-19, and when you really understand the science of stem cells, it's been known for many years that reintroduction of mesenchymal stem cells into your body drive down the inflammation. So you think about rheumatoid arthritis when you think about all the breaking down of cartilage, for instance. That's the cell is being attacked, the inflammation that occurs. These viruses when you think about COVID-19, you think about the lungs. What is that chitostorm? Can't think of the word where the cells. Dr. Guillory will talk about this at length, but the cells get incredibly inflamed in the lungs.
Adult respiratory distress syndrome.
The mesenchymal stem cells build up your immune system, drive down that inflammation. So it really makes some sense.
Are you suggesting that for people that everybody's hit by COVID differently? We've learned that's one thing we finally learned. But some people are hit by it very badly and multiple problems with their lungs. You're suggesting that stem cell, this kind of therapy will help those folks?
There's a phase 3 trial in Mexico right now that the Mexican government is involved with Celtex that is showing very, very strong promise that the introduction of mesenchymal stem cells is a way to prevent COVID-19.
And we're gonna hear from the president of Celtex on the top of the hour?
No.
Who are we going to hear from?
You'll hear from Dr. Derek Guillory.
Okay,
Dr. Guillory is just one of the doctors that has worked with them.
But I want to. But since we do have Clay, are you still with us?
Yes, sir.
Since we do have Clay, I want to hear so today. How are you doing? What's your plan? I know you have a new album out.
More importantly, he's got a new baby boy. Coming.
Well, now.
Tell us about that, Clay.
Well, stem cells have a lot of things, but I got to say that I'm doing great, Tony, and thanks for asking. I'm one of these people. Let me just make a full disclosure here that I don't own any stock in Celtex.
Yep.
I'm not a spokesperson for Celtex. I've never received a penny from Celtex. So I want to be clear about that. And the celebrities can sell things, and some things they believe in, some things they might not. And I've been a spokesperson for a drug company, and they did a lot of good for me. I was able to keep this disease arrested for a long time. But one thing that no one can claim is that they can do things that repair the damage or heal this. And I am blessed that I was able to do both, and to be able to get around like I do now. I can run with my kids. I can run as fast now as I could. I think when I was diagnosed when I was first diagnosed. So I just want to be clear that there's two different things. Anybody who has MS and is on a medication that's working for them, you should stay on that.
Mm-hmm.
But what stem cells can do for you and has done for me is what I've said to you so far. Everything I've
Awesome,
explained
man.
to you
Good
is
for
true,
you, man.
and I believe that that God puts things in our lives every day. If you believe in God, and maybe you don't, but I know that this happened to me for a reason, and I was told by doctors that I would never be able to get any better. I might be able to arrest it, but I certainly wasn't going to get any better, and most likely it was going to get a lot worse.
Yeah.
So here we are. I'm since 1996. You do the math. I'm 24 years into this, 24 plus, and I'm making records, and we're getting ready to have some more hits. I want to thank all the people, the fine folks of Texas who put me on the map, period. I owe Houston, Texas, my life, and I appreciate, what the fans there have done for me. They all prayed for me when I was diagnosed, and I know they've wished me well ever since. And all I do is try to get on that stage every night and give them the best concert possible. And I feel like
Clay,
I've been able to get
Clay,
better
let
and
me
better.
let me do this, and I man, that's good what you're saying. The first person that calls in tells me where Clay Walker is actually from, where Clay Walker, country music star, is from. The first person that calls in is going to get some of those Duke's steaks, some of those T-bone. Oh, actually, I think they're sirloins. Some Duke's steaks.
I don't know.
Well, Frank doesn't know, but he likes a good steak.
I eat
but
all the steaks. Give
that's
me
one of
that.
our sponsors, Duke's Butcher Shop. But if you really know Clay Walker, then you're going to know where in Texas. I'm giving you a little hint. Where in Texas, this country music star and great friend of the show, and
Give him the number.
The number's 281-558-5738. Clay, I really, really thank you, man. And I haven't seen you since the World Series. We got to do it again.
Well, you remember I called that a home run.
Yeah, I remember. And you're never going to let me forget it, are you? You're never going to let me forget it. I remember.
Tort reform.
I appreciate you, man.
appreciate you guys.
All right, man.
All right, we
Thanks
love
for
you,
calling.
Clay. Take
We
care
love
of
you, man.
yourself. Tell Miss Jessie hi.